Hey everybody, welcome back for another Tips and Tools Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about crimping ends on wires. Now, I know you guys are probably familiar with like this style where you can just take your butt connectors or your ends or whatever and crimp them on there. If you're really cool, you got a newer pair, a bigger pair like this, do a little bit heavier duty stuff. But what do you do when you get to some thicker wire or something maybe even thicker than this, like a battery cable or something, and you need to put an end on it? Well, that's where this little tool right here comes into play. So this is a crimper that you use with a hammer. Let me show you guys how it works real quick.
Welcome back for another Tips and Tools Tuesday with your host Anthony Bronner from Hardcore Fab.
So for this, I've got an end on here that's too small. I won't go over the bolt that I need it to go onto. So I need to cut that off and put a new end on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just literally that. And cut the end of it off there. Pull off what little bit of heat shrink is still left on there off. And now we got what you'd probably end up with if you're starting out to try to make something and you needed to crimp an end on. So I'm just going to take a razor blade here, and I've got my ends here too that actually have the right size hole in them. You can kind of hold that up there and get a visual of how much you need to strip back. And then I usually just take the razor blade and just run around it a couple times. It's usually about all you need to be able to get this kind of stuff stripped, especially if it's fairly new wire. If you got some older wire, you might have a little bit harder time, but razor blade usually works pretty good. And just like that, we got the end of it off. So next we want to take the end of the wire, shove it into the end of our terminal here that we're wanting to put on the end of it. And then we slip the whole thing in our tool here. So this has got basically just a little anvil there and then a punch that goes on top to crimp everything down. And it will sit in place in there just like that. And then you literally just hit the end of it with a hammer. You do want to have a pretty solid surface that you're working with here to make sure it transfers through good. But you can see right there, we've got a good end on it. Unfortunately, you don't do what I just did and don't put the heat shrink on there. I think our heat shrink will fit though. Yeah, it will. Should have put the heat shrink on first. I was talking to you guys and not doing what I was supposed to be doing. So, heat shrink, in case you're not familiar with that, you just literally throw a little bit of heat to it and it shrinks around there and seals up the end. And yes, this is most definitely overkill. I mean, it's not to like that extreme overkill, but you could totally do this with like a cigarette lighter if you had one, or one of those little small butane torches. But now we have an end back on there and we have one lug the size we need for each end. So we're pretty good. Do one more time here on this other one, show you guys real quick. So once again, same thing, we just snip the end of it off, run around this bad boy with the razor blade. And pull the end of it off there. We get our end here that we're going to put on it. This time we'll remember to put our heat shrink on there first. And then again, this just slides right in there. And let's see. Let's do it this way where you guys can see it a little bit better maybe. There is some little notches in here in this tool that'll actually allow that to kind of slide up in place and kind of push in and only go so far. And then I'm not even going to do it left-handed. And there's our crimp. It's not coming out, it's not going anywhere. Do our heat shrink and we'll be good to go. And we're done. yeah, so there you go. There's our little crimping tool. I'll go ahead and give you guys a link to it in the description down below. I think I found it on Amazon for less than 20 bucks. So for that kind of money, pretty handy to have around if you got any plans at all at doing any of these battery cables. Probably wouldn't take but just a couple of them, and you would have custom cables that actually fit your needs perfect and probably save you money. So something to think about. I'll also leave you guys a link to all this other stuff here too, just in case you're wondering. I guess with that, that's all we got today on today's Tips and Tools Tuesday. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.